Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Redneckanize, the home of the do-it-yourself trucker. When everything goes wrong, you gotta Redneckanize. What's going on, truckers? Thanks for watching. Now today I want to talk a little bit about MayDay and the historical significance of that. But before I did that, I wanted to tell y'all about our sponsor this week, and that's Trucker Tools, the Trucker Tools app. Now, Trucker Tools, they have features in there that allow the brokers and the drivers to coordinate and build better relationships with sharing of load data and letting each other know what best available lanes or maybe choices that drivers want to, pick over one or the other. And it allows you to go in there and actually see how the driver's data is being shared, so that you know what you're sharing, what you're not sharing. So it helps out too much. So go check them out at truckertools.com and download their app and let them know. Give them a holler. Let them know you appreciate what they're doing for Redneckanize. They've supported us now here, and it's doing really great, and we're really proud to have them. So check them out at truckertools.com. So it's now May Day, which is May 1st, celebrated as International Workers' Day. Mostly celebrated by socialist and communist countries as the Worker Uprising, but it actually is celebrating a historical event that took place on May 1st in 1886 in Chicago. So what happened was that a protest broke out, a strike for workers. They demanded an 8-hour workday, among other things, and they had a strike there. It went on for about 3 days, and the police were called in. And then about that time, somebody threw a bomb or something went off, some kind of cocktail blew up, and shots were fired, and several people were killed, including police officers and lots of workers. And it was a bad deal. They called it the Haymarket. They called it the Haymarket Massacre. And later on, when news broke out of it and people started hearing about it, the government called it a Socialist Uprising, an invasion of socialist and communist propagandists and infiltrators into the working environment. And immediately people just, that was kind of the first strike against any kind of socialism or communism. And then so now what happened was that most of the countries that became either communist or socialist celebrated it as a workers' revolt, and mostly they all had parades. The funny thing is that in the Soviet Union, when they celebrated May Day on the May 1st, they would have parades of their military, and they really didn't celebrate workers at all. They just wanted to show off all of their strengths and stuff so that they could be kind of cool and everything. So but we all know how that worked out, so we'll leave it at that. The funny thing is you talk about like workers' rights and striking and getting fair pay and wages like that. As far as trucking goes, that all started around 1903 when the Teamsters first formed in Niagara Falls, and then they started forming. They were driving. Actually, the trucking at that time was still horse-drawn carriages and wagons, and they organized for better pay or better work environments and fair wages. Their biggest thing was they were having to get to work before the sun come up so that they can get the horses ready to start the day, and they weren't getting paid for that. They only got paid while they were actually driving the team horses. So that was one of the big things on that. The funny thing is I did a lot of, I didn't do that much research, but I did a little bit, and they used the term aggressive negotiation tactics, or aggressive organizing campaigns that they used for growing their numbers and getting what they wanted out of the employers or corporations. And they grew. I mean, they got a big following. So big that it was right around in 1940, FDR actually attended the International Brotherhood of Teamsters convention and spoke in front of all of the Teamster workers at that time. And during the whole time, I mean, when the wars were going on, and Teamsters, of course, you know, they stepped up and served. And then when they come back, because they had the government on their side, it was easy for them to get all their stuff back. And of course, through the years, we all can know that, you know, the Teamsters are a really big influence on how we got our hours of service or safety regulations. You know, it kind of helped out the industry a little bit, and that's what they all done. And of course, you know, we all grew from there and see where we're at now. And there could be a lot of debate about what's going on that time. You know, but the coolest thing I wanted to talk about here was we here at Redneckanize always thrive on getting the job done, and that's why we came up with our name. You know, it's we always say it's Redneckanize. It's when everything goes wrong and the job still has to get done, you got to Redneckanize. So we did a little digging to find out where the term redneck come from. You know, a lot of people think it's like a derogatory comment toward different types of people and all that. And I did a little digging, and of course it goes back all the way to Scotland, where Presbyterians were at war really with the Church of England about freedom of religion. And their declaration, according to the historians, they actually signed their declaration of support against the Church of England in their own blood. And to mark that significance, they would wear red bandanas around their neck, giving them the name Rednecks. Now that really didn't set along around till, you know, they started coming to America, and then of course that was back in the 1600s. But the coolest part was about workers striking, workers organizing, and in around the time that the Teamsters were kicking off and all that, in West Virginia, the coal miners, a mining accident happened, and that was back in, like, I think it was 1907. A big mining accident happened, killed over 300 men and boys, and of course that started a revolt against the mining companies wanting better wages, safer environment, that kind of stuff. And strikes and protests, I mean, they were battling back and forth. The mining companies used machine gun artillery on the tent cities that they had built to support the strikes and all that, and it got through bad. But then of course World War I happened, and everybody went to do that, and then they came back and they still had the same thing. So in 1920 the revolt started again, but this time most of the West Virginia area was all unionized with coal miner unions, except for the southern part. Now in the counties of Logan and Mingo, a large coal mine company had actually pretty much taken the coal mining employees prisoner. Wouldn't let them leave, wouldn't let anybody else in to help them organize, and wouldn't just told them. And you know, the funny thing about all this is that they didn't even actually really pay them. They gave them actual, like, pieces, like whether it was coins or something, but they could only buy stuff from the stores that the coal mining companies owned. So, you know, all of that is what they wanted. They wanted just, you know, fair wages, fair pay and all that. Well, that was in 1920, like I said, it all started up again. And this time the word got out that they're actually being held hostage and wouldn't allow to leave, and they couldn't get in, that over 12,000 coal miners gathered and armed themselves ready to go in and invade these two counties to liberate the workers. And they voluntarily put red bandanas around their neck, and they were known as rednecks. And they actually invaded. The National Guard was actually up against them, but the National Guard was outnumbered 3-1, and they had to cross over this mountain. They went in there, and they actually were doing really well. They were on their way to winning. They even had machine gun artillery against them. The mining companies had machine gun artillery and even aircraft to drop, like, gas bombs and stuff like that at them. But that didn't work. They were on their way, and they were about to win. But on September 1st, 1921, President Harding sent in the U.S. Army to help stop them. And they put down their arms and refused to fight the Army because most of them served in World War I, and they wouldn't fight the Army. They considered the Army their comrades in arms, and they said, you know what, we're glad you're here. We're not going to go any further. But of course, that didn't really do much. They all got arrested, and like 300 of them got tried for murder. They probably would have been hanged, but the public, it was an outcry, so they pretty much they served like a year or two, and then everybody was released. But that was pretty cool history that, it was all going back to workers and standing up for their rights. And, that's Redneckanize right there for you. So the whole motto to that is that, in my opinion, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. And you got to step up and take command of your own goals and do what's right by you. And if that's something that you feel you got to do, we hope that everybody comes out all right. So yeah, we want everyone to stay safe and successful out there. And check out our website at Redneckanize.com. And give us a like and a share on the video. We really appreciate it. So have a great day out there today. Keep between the ditches, and we'll see you out there on the road.